Adult film star Stormy Daniels is suing President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, for defamation. Daniels' lawyer filed the lawsuit less than 24 hours after her appearance on 60 Minutes. She talked about what she said was a sexual encounter with Mr. Trump in 2006. Daniels also said she was afraid to share her story. She claimed someone physically threatened her. The White House fired back. Spokesperson Raj Shah said Monday the president does not believe any of the claims Daniels made. Shah also said the president does not believe Daniels was threatened. For more on this, I want to bring in Franco Ordoñez. He is the White House correspondent for McClatchy and the co-host of McClatchy's Majority Minority podcast. All right, so Franco, let's start with Stormy Daniels. What more can you tell us about Monday's lawsuit against President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen?
Well, what Stormy Daniels has done has filed a lawsuit of claiming that defamation based on comments that Michael Cohen had implied that she had lied. She says that she did not lie, and she's using this lawsuit to essentially raise the stakes on this entire episode. It's been a fascinating case, and it seems every day it's just getting more and more interesting with the newest allegations that you just pointed out.
And how is the White House responding to this?
It's really fascinating watching them. I was in the briefing this afternoon when Raj Shah was just essentially doing a flat-out denial of all the allegations that Stormy Daniels made yesterday in the 60 Minutes interview on CBS. It was quite fascinating to watch. Every answer was pretty much a denial, though they would not say whether President Trump actually watched the interview. They kept making comments to the fact that he saw some of the morning show follow-ups, but it's pretty interesting to watch how this is playing out. But certainly the White House is taking this very seriously.
Well, there are also questions about whether Michael Cohen's $130,000 payment to Daniels violated campaign finance law. Is the White House worried that this payout will become a bigger focus of the special counsel's investigation?
They are deflecting that question, but it is a huge one. They're referring many of those questions to Michael Cohen himself, but certainly that could potentially be one of the things that the special prosecutor Mueller could look into. That's the big question. This is why it's more than just a sex scandal. This $130,000 potentially in-kind donation is much more than is allowed by an individual person. So if it is seen as an in-kind donation, it could really have a big impact on this case. And I think they're certainly concerned. And as you see that by their answers, referring questions to the attorneys for Trump, as well as not answering other questions, reflects how seriously they're taking this.
On the subject of the Russia investigation, attorney Joseph DeGeneva says he will not be representing the president on the issue. That announcement comes just days after the president's lead attorney on the Russia investigation, John Dowd, resigned. What does that tell us, Franco, about the president's ability to keep qualified attorneys with respect to this particular case?
It shows that this is a harder job than he seems to be portraying. He certainly was tweeting this weekend that people are just falling over and want to represent him. But that does not necessarily seem the case. This is a very complicated case. Not many attorneys want to go against Robert Mueller. And here is an example. I'm not saying here is an example of this case, but certainly this is a situation where we're all ready and expecting for this controversial attorney to take over, someone who had claimed that FBI is a conspiracy against the president, and now he's not going to be representing the president. So I think it definitely shows that this is a lot more complicated than the president would like it to seem.
And Franco, all the while, our negotiations for a potential interview with special counsel Robert Mueller and the president, are those still ongoing, or how does this change in the legal team actually affect that possibility?
I think certainly Robert Mueller is continuing to push for this interview. There is negotiations back and forth. Certainly, it was just last week, a little before, when when Mueller sent some questions over to the president's team that really kind of created a lot more whirlwind of concern from that team. We know that the administration is pushing back. Certainly, his lawyers probably do not want him to sit down with the special prosecutor. President Trump has told us reporters that he is still willing to do that. But I think we shall see. It's kind of like one of those things that, we'll believe it when we see it.
Right. Well, on another topic, the Trump administration announced Monday it will expel dozens of Russian diplomats from the U.S. in retaliation for the poisoning of a former Russian spy living in the U.K. What message is the White House trying to send to Russia, and why now?
In some ways, it's a bit of a confusing message, considering the president has reiterated many times of his feelings that we should be, reaching out to Vladimir Putin, as well as improving our relations with the Russian government. Obviously, it was last week where he made a very controversial phone call to Vladimir Putin, where he congratulated him on his election victory, which many people feel is a sham. He didn't mention anything at all about this alleged poisoning of a former spy on British soil. Today, we have massive news from the United States as well as our allies around the world pulling out diplomats. We pulled out 60. The UN pulled out 12. Many more, dozens more were pulled out from of other countries, our allies. And the White House is saying we still want to have relations with Russia, but we want to do it on our terms, or on different terms, pardon me. But that is a lot different than what the president is saying. And as you know, the president did not tweet about today about the expulsion of the diplomats, and we shall see if he will.
All right, a lot to watch ahead. Franco Ordoñez in Washington for us. Franco, thanks very much.
Thank you.